Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Connecting with the previous lecture, in the first lecture we discussed different forecasting techniques. We defined different types of forecasting, why we need to use forecast in different subjects area, just like finance, just like in human resource management, and procurement management, and project management. So today I'm just going to switch to the techniques which we will be using for forecasting. So what are these techniques? We will discuss with example about these techniques, but before going to that, I'm just going to start time series forecasting, because the main objective of this chapter is for time series forecasting, because we will play with the data. We will collect data. So what kind of data we need for forecast? Sometimes we will not be able to collect data. So in the last lecture I already discussed different type of forecasting, that there are two main types of forecasting. One is qualitative forecast and one is quantitative forecast. So when we have no data available in the from the different department, then in that case we use some judgmental approaches, we use some Delphi method, we use some qualitative approaches. So going to the techniques of forecasting. So the first important thing is, what is time series? What is a time series? So before we start, let's define what we mean by time series data. So a time series is a set of measurement of something over time. So the word time appearing, time series from which period, at which period data you looking for? From 2010 to 2020, from 1900 to 2000. What kind of specific span, what kind of specific time period data you looking for? So sometimes the data available in the time series, it's directly related to the time. So that is why a time series is a set of measurement of something over time. An example is your hourly heart rate. For example, if you want to check in the previous hour what is your heart beat rate in a specific interval of time, in the morning, in the evening, in the midnight, or the daily average temperature in your city. In the morning the temperature will be low, but at the noon time it will be very high, then it will be going down. Visually you can think of a time series as a line chart with an x-axis, that is a time scale, for example date. So with the date, because date is related with the time, so with the time period in a specific interval of time, you collect data. You collect data from different organizations. You collect data just like your heartbeat. You collect data of temperature. You collect data for sale, specific sale. You collect data of customer arrival in a specific store. You collect data of train arrival in a train station. You collect data of airports, how many airplane came and how many take off. So time series are different from cross-sectional data. So this is very, very important. Time series is totally different from cross-sectional data, which is a set of measurement taken at one point in time on many things, such as the grade book of a course, which record for each student, each exam, homework submission, attendance. So all these are cross-sectional data. So time series will be different from the cross-sectional data. I will discuss some example that how you will use time series data while using specific forecasting models. So where is time series forecasting used? This is very, very important question. Where you will be able to use time series forecasting. So time series forecasting is used or can be used in nearly every organization that work with quantifiable data. Where they playing with the data? Where for example the sales department, for example the banking sector, for example the transportation sector, for example the retail and wholesale sector. Retail sale forecast sale, energy companies forecast reserves, production, demand and prices. Educational institutes forecast enrollment. Okay, how many students enroll in this semester, how many students enroll in the previous semester. Government forecast tax receipt and spending. International financial organizations such as the World Bank and International Monetary Fund. IMF forecast inflation and economic activities. State Bank of Pakistan. Passenger transport company use time series to forecast future travel. Bank and lending institution forecast new home purchases, and venture capital firm forecast market potential to evaluate business plan. So these are just a few examples of how forecasting is used in various sectors. Forecasting is very useful to service providers such as cafe, libraries, and education institutions. So everywhere we basically using forecast. But the most important thing, how you will use time series forecast, because if you have some past data, if you have some previous data related to a specific time period, then you can use that specific time series data in order to predict for the future, in order to predict for the coming week. For example, in a restaurant, how many customer came in the last week. So I mean, how many recipe they need to produce for the coming week, how much meal they need to cook for how many customer. So I mean, if they use the previous month data, if they use previous week data, then they will be able to forecast, to use a good forecasting technique. While using a good forecasting technique, they will be able to use a good accurate forecast for the coming week. So in this chapter, I'm strictly focusing on the time series model, because in the production management and operation management, we will be working with the time series data. We will be working with the inventory data. We will be working how many units we have in the warehouse, how much is our capacity, what is the demand at a specific level. So that is why we will be working with a time series data. And for time series data, we need to use some time series models. So time series forecasting model normally use historical records that are readily available within the firm or industry to predict future sales. So for example, if Honda produces cars for the 2021, they already have the previous year data. They have the data of 2020. They have the data of 2019. So while using that data, they will be able to produce, they will be able to predict that how many cars they need to produce for the coming year. For this reason, they are often referred to as internal or intrinsic models. So I mean, time series model are also called internal or intrinsic model. Essential in time series forecasting is that past sales are fairly accurate predictor of future sales. So once again, basically we are totally relying on the past data. So while using that past data, we will be able that it is the fairly accurate predictor of future sale, because we are using that data in order to predict for the future sale. Okay, last month how many units of air condition we sold out. So while using that data, we will be able to forecast for the coming month. Overview of quantitative approaches. So I mean, we have different approaches, quantitative approaches, quantitative methods, which we will be going to use while using Excel, while using R. So after that, we will be understand these quantitative approaches. The most important and the most easiest one is the naive approach. So naive approach, I will discuss some example, but naive approach in just simple word. For example, the most recent data which you have. For example, today we can use the sale of specific item. We can use the data of the yesterday data. For example, how many unit of air condition you sold out yesterday? Let's suppose 6. So while using the naive approach, today forecast will be 6. How many customer came into your restaurant yesterday? Let's suppose 10 customers. So I mean, today forecast will be 10 customer. So this is just a basic, which is good in the short term forecasting, because we have already discussed different time horizon related forecast, short term forecast, long range forecast, medium range forecast. So naive approach will be most accurate for the short term. Another approach is the moving average, which is also a time series model, which is also a time series technique in order to calculate, in order to predict for the future. In this the concept is like average, but the average is moving with a specific time interval. For example, 3-month moving average, 4-month moving average, 5-month moving average. Exponential smoothing is another technique of time series model, which is also very useful in some specific data set in some specific time periods. I will also discuss with example that why you not need to use exponential smoothing, why you not need to use moving average, but you need to use exponential smoothing. Exponential smoothing will be best at some places, while against moving average, but sometime moving average will be the most feasible one instead of using exponential smoothing. Trend projection, we will also use linear regressions, trend projection, multilinear regression, which is also called associative model. That means a specific variable become a cause of ups and down in another variable. For example, if I give you an example of ice cream sale, that when temperature is a variable, when temperature is going up, the sale of ice cream will be going up. When temperature is going down, the sale of ice cream will be going down. Or for example, the sale of umbrella will be going up if the rainy season extend. If there is too much rain, then people will buy more umbrellas. So I will discuss each of these techniques with a simple example one by one. But the most important thing in time series model is the data collection. Because we need data, we can only rely on the past data. If our data is not good, if our data is not accurate, so the prediction, the forecast will be totally wrong. If you use some good model, if you use several model, but if the data is not good, so data will be working as an input. If the input is correct, if the input is okay, then the output will also be okay. A key component for forecasting analytics is the data. Several aspects related to data collection and its relation to the goal can affect our forecasting solution. Let's examine a few data collection considerations. So the most important thing, as I mentioned, the data collection, the quality of the data. In terms of measurement accuracy, missing value, sometimes the data will not be 100% correct. So what you need to do? You need to use your logical intuition, you need to use your expertise, you need to use the senior advices, okay, in order to make that corrupted data correct. And data entry error can significantly affect the forecasting result. Data quality is especially important in time series forecasting. So once again, if the data is not correct, if the collected data is not good, then if you use any model, the prediction will not be so accurate. So we already discussed in the component of forecasting that your forecast should be accurate, your forecast should be reliable, your forecast should be applicable, your forecast should be meet the requirement, your forecast should need to match with reality. So if these things are not, then the forecast is not accurate. Time series component. For the purpose of choosing adequate forecasting method, it is useful to dissect a time series into a systematic part and a non-systematic part. So what is a systematic part and what is a non-systematic part? I have already mentioned the systematic part is divided into three components: level, trend, and seasonality. So sometime in our data there are some levels, ups and down. Sometime there is a trend with some specific time period it is going up, and some specific time it is going down. For example, in fashion industry, a specific fashion with some specific time interval is going up, but after some specific time it is going down. Some things are strongly related to season, okay. For example, the sale of different clothes which we use. So for summer we using different. So with the season, the sale is going up. When the season finish, then it's going down. The non-systematic part is also called noise. So noise factor. We will also discuss the noise factor while solving some different example. In order to predict about the future, we need to remove the noise factor from the data. Noise factor create problem. Noise factor reduce the accuracy of forecasting. So the systematic components are assumed to be unobservable as they characterize the underlying series which we only observe with added noise. Level describe the average value of the series. Okay. Trend is the change in the series from one period to the next. Seasonality, as I already mentioned, describe a short-term cycle behavior that can be observed several times within the given series. While some series do not contain trend or seasonality, all series have a level. So once again, noise is the random variation that result from measurement error or other causes that are not accounted for. It is always present in a time series to some degree, although we cannot observe it directly. So noise is a factor which is always available when you collect data. Some regular randomized noise factor, ups and down factor, which you will not be able to observe directly. So we need to remove that noise. We will not be able to remove those noise 100%, but we will try to remove those noise factor from the data in order to predict accurate for the future. So these are the components which I have already discussed in the previous slides: trend, cyclical, seasonal, and random. So trend is a long-term movement in data. Seasonality, short-term regular variation in the data. So I mean trend is a long, because we using normally that nowadays this is a trend. So why we using? This is a trend. Okay, related to the culture, related to the some specific norms in a society. So we say that it's a trend. So basically trend relying on a long-term movement in data. Seasonality, which is basically strongly related to season, short-term regular variation in data. Cycle wave-like variation of more than 1 year duration. Irregular variation occur, for example, in our economy, in the Pakistani economy, due to COVID-19, there are some irregular variation occur. We are just going in a trend position, but mean this COVID-19 directly turn that trend into some irregular variation caused by unusual circumstances. So I mean this is unusual circumstances. For example, if some disaster occurs, some flood can, so I mean these will be in unusual circumstances. Random variation caused by chance, which is randomly occur. We not know, we will not be able to observe directly. So I mean you can see from these figures, this is a trend which is a long term. As I already mentioned, this is a long term. It starts from here. Okay, some irregular variation also occur. Maybe this is the sale of milk. So I mean the sale of milk in 1990, because we on the daily basis we consume milk, so the sale with the population, when the population increase, the sale of milk also increase. In a specific time period, it's automatically jump up due to some irregular variation. Then it's going down, then the trend again starts. So the second one is, the second figure is the cycle. So cycle is also take more than 1 year time. This is a cycle, it's going up, then it's going down, then once again. For example, if I consider an example of fashion industry, so a specific fashion, 60s, 70s fashion was very on very high. Okay, then it's going down, a new fashion came. Okay, then again the old fashion once again start going up, then it's going down. So it's the data, when you extract the data, when you present the data while using Excel or some other software, analyze the data, it will be look like a cycle. These are the seasonal variation. For example, this is the 1988 year data. So I mean from January, February, March, and April, May, it's going up due to that month, due to that season. Then it's going down once again when it reached to the third quarter, September, October, then it's going up, then once again it's going down. So the same behavior of the data also exists in the 89, the same behavior of the data also exists in 90. So these variation in the data occur due to the season. Okay, trend component, as I already mentioned, it's a long trend, it's a long period behavior in the data, persistent, overall upward or downward. Just like in this example, it's going downward, or sometime it will be like this, it will be going upwards, change due to population, technology, age, culture, etc., etc. Typically several year duration. So I mean it's a long term duration in the trend component. In seasonal component, which is regular pattern of up and down fluctuation, and it's more related to the season, when season change. So I mean the fluctuation in the data occur due to season, due to weather, custom, occur within a single year. Okay, so I mean week, length, day, number of season, 7. If we consider a period month, if we consider the length in week, so we have 4 and 4.5 week in a month. Month, days, so we have 28 to 31 days in a month. Year, then we can transform year in a quarter, so we have 4 quarter. Year, we have 12 months in a year. Year in a week, we have 52 weeks. So I mean it depend on the season. When season change, then the fluctuation in the data also occur. Cyclical component, repeating up and down moment, but as I already mentioned, it's related to some specific time period. Repeating up and down moment affected by business cycle, political and economic factor. For example, in Pakistan, due to the dictatorship, let's suppose the economy is going up. When the democracy come. So in the democracy, it's going down. Once again, when the dictatorship came, then it's going up. So affected by business cycle, political and economic factor, multiple year duration. It takes multiple year duration of a causal or associate relationship. So mean it depend on specific factor. Due to those factor, it going up, and due to those factor, it's going down. And it look like a cycle. Random component, which is mean we can also call it a nice, erratic, unsystematic, residual fluctuation. We not know why it's occur. We will not be able to observe it directly due to random variation, unforeseen event. We know nothing. Short duration and non-repeating. So I mean this is a very short duration, but it's non-repeating because the behavior of the data is totally different from one another. So in order to understand the data behavior, we need to know about these things. What is trend, what is random variation, what is noise factor, what is cycles, what is irregular fluctuation, and what is seasonal. So starting from the naive approach, which is basically used for the time series data. So naive approach is a technique which we can use for short-term forecasting. Assume demand in next period is the same as demand in more recent period. For example, if January sale was 68, then February sale will be 68. So we using basically the most recent data which we have. For example, how many customer came yesterday into my restaurant? Let's suppose 10. So I mean today I can predict while using those customer data. I can predict that today we will also expecting 10 customer in our restaurant. So if January sale was 68, then February sale will be 68. Sometimes cost effective and efficient. So we can use naive approach while using our recent data, while using our intuition sometime, which is very cost effective and efficient, but sometime it can create problem for you. Let's suppose yesterday the weather was very good. We received, let's suppose, 10 customer, but today the weather is not good. So maybe only 2 customer come into your restaurant. So I mean in such like situation you will not be able, the naive approach will not be so efficient. For starting point it is very good. For journal forecasting it is very good. But if you want to consider the uncertain environment, if you want to consider some risky environment, this approach will not be useful. We will use some more advanced technique in order to measure the risky factor. The forecast for any period equal the previous period actual value. So I mean this is the definition of naive approach, that the forecast for any period equal the previous period actual. The sale of previous month, April is, let's suppose 15 unit we sell in April. So the forecast for May will be also 15. So the forecast for any period equal the previous period actual value. In this example you can see a restaurant is forecasting sale of chicken dinner for the month of April. Total sale of chicken for March were 320. If management uses the naive method or naive forecasting technique, what is their forecast of chicken for the month of April? So we can use the naive approach, and mathematically you can use FT. So what is FT plus 1 is equal to actual in the previous. So this is FT plus 1 is time, let's suppose the April 4 plus 1, which is equal to 5. So 5 is the May month. So the May month will be the actual of the previous T. Previous T was the previous time period, which was April. So this will be forecast for May will be equal to actual of April. Okay. So in this example we have the March data, which is 320. So what will be the April forecast? So adding the appropriate time period, April forecast will also be 320 dinners. Another simple approach is the simple mean or average. So normally you people also using average. You also asking me that what is the average of quiz. You also asking me that what is the average of midterm, because we relying too much on the mean. What is mean? So if your marks are near the mean or if your marks are above the mean, it's good for you. But if it is below, from mean, you consider this is not a good sign. So mean we can also use average as a simple forecasting tool. One of the simple averaging model is the simple mean or average. The forecast is made by simply taking an average. Okay, if a student want to forecast his or her GPA for this semester, so she can use the previous 5 subject data, divide with 5. So let's suppose his or her GPA was 3. While using the previous subject data, the previous subject rate, she can easily calculate the mean of the previous in order to predict for the coming. In this example, New Tool Corporation is forecasting sales for its classic product, Handy Wrench. Handy Wrench sales have been steady and the company uses a simple mean. So these are the time period in weeks. In the first week, the actual sale was 51. In the second week, the sale was 53. In the third, 48. They want to forecast for the sixth one. So the most and easiest way is to, you can write is FT plus A, because FT T plus 1 is the forecasting period. We want to forecast for this time period. Summation actual which we have divided by n. So this is the mean formula. Actual we have this one. So 51 plus 53 plus 48 plus 52 plus 50 divided by how many unit we have? How many unit of data we have so far? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we divide with 5. So for the 6th week, the forecast will be 50.8, which is very near with the previous one. So mean in this case our forecast is reliable. In this case our forecast is reliable. It's also related to the previous month or previous week forecast. It is reliable. We can rely on this. If this forecasted value was, let's suppose 100, so it will be a ridiculous forecast. Maybe it will not be an accurate forecast. So we also need to check. We also need to check the reality. What's going in the reality? So if the previous forecast was 50, so this month forecast is 50.8. Another and more powerful than the naive approach and the simple mean or average approach technique is the moving average method, which is an advanced form of simple mean approach. Moving average is a series of arithmetic means, so we will again use the basic concept of mean. Use if little or no trend. So you need to remember, you can use this technique when there is no trend available in the data. So the most important thing, you need to check the behavior of the data. What kind of data is it? Is the data behavior is seasonal? Is the behavior of the data is cyclical? Or if there is some unusual factor, mean irregular fluctuation occur in the data. So you can use moving average if little or no trend available in the data. Use often for smoothing. So the most important thing in forecasting, you need to smooth the data. If your data is not smooth, then you will not be able to get the objective. So the most important thing, why we want to use these techniques, we want to make the data smooth. We want to remove the noise factor from the data. Provides overall impression of data over time. So how we can write is, the formula of this will be summation demand in previous n period time. So this is very, very important. This n period time, you need to remember this n period divided by the n. I will solve this with a simple example, that how we will use this n period data. So moving average example, for example, this is a very simple example. We have monthly data available. Actual shirt sale for January, the sale was 10. For February, the sale was 12. For March, the sale was 13. For April, it was 16. Similarly for other month. Now they want to use 3-month data. So before going to that, you need to solve this while using Excel or some other software. You need to check the data behavior. If the data behavior is seasonal, if there is some irregular fluctuation, that you will not be able to use moving average. Because I already mentioned, when there is little trend available, just like in the previous slides, if there is no trend available, then you can use moving average. So for example, 3-month moving average, for 3-month moving average, we want to forecast for April while using the previous 3-month average. So how many 3-month previous data we have? March data we have, February data, January data. So you need to add this 10 plus 12 plus 13 divided with 3, because we only take 3-month previous data, and the forecast for the month of April is 11.66, while the actual was 16. Similarly, for the next period, for example, if you want to predict for the May, you need to use the previous 3-month data. So 3-month data previous was 12 plus 13 plus 16 divided by 3. So 13.66. Similarly, for June, you need to use the previous 3-month data, 13 plus 16 plus 19 divided by 3, which is 16. Similarly, for July, we can use 16 plus 19 plus 23 divided by 3. If we want to forecast for August, let's suppose, so how we can use moving average? We can use 19, the May data, 19 plus the June data, 23 plus the July data, which is 26, okay, divided with 3. So at this way you can easily calculate the forecast for August. So moving average is also a good technique, but once again we have some more advanced technique. Now the question arise in your mind, that mean which specific technique will be the most feasible one. So I will solve this, I will give you the answer of this question while studying different forecasting tools. Then after that we will decide to choose the most accurate technique.